What's up, Sean? Can you hear me? All right, people are coming in. Check test 1, 2. Okay. Got video. Hey, how's it going? Hey. I can't hear anybody. Can you say something, anybody, so I can see if I can hear you? It's Caitlin. I cannot hear anybody yet. Hold on a second.
Right now it says, right now at the bottom it says there's 15 people.
Oh, there it is. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Manage participants. Okay. Right on. Hey, what's up, Cameron? Welcome, man. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to share my screen and pop this down here. So Zoom is what I typically use for my professional interviews. And I have one coming up this weekend that you guys are going to love. I can't wait. It's Ian Jacobs. He's coming in town from Texas, and he is one of the crew that worked on Disney Infinity with me. And we're going to go through and talk about a bunch of his sculpts and what matters to him and what's important, and kind of talk about a whole bunch of stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to do that tomorrow, and then hopefully we'll get that in the course. I can't wait. It'll be awesome. Okay, let's see. Share my screen. Desktop 2. All right. Oh, that's cool. It puts all you guys kind of on the side when I do that. Can you guys see this? Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. So let's see. And I'm glad like Milika just posted this, and Jason. Yeah, this is super cool to get on here every single morning and just kind of be overwhelmed with all this amazing art. So okay, so I just kind of wanted to start and just kind of go through all these if that's cool with you guys. And I could just kind of want to start from the top, or I could start from the bottom and work my way up. The plan for this is to do it every Friday, and sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, maybe even 2 sessions on Friday. I'm not sure. We'll just kind of play it by ear and see how it works. It'll just depend on how much time I have and how many people attend and that kind of thing. So anyway, yeah. So this guy is super, super good. Milika, you've nailed the concept of this guy. The only thing I can see right now, I can get my pen, is looking at this concept, and it's always about trying to match the concept as close as possible. And I know a lot of you get into this rut of sculpt what you know, not what you see. Instead, you need to flip it around and sculpt what you see, not what you know. And then you need to interpret kind of what you know into that. It's kind of hard because you have these when you're first starting to learn how to draw, and you're drawing like a soup can or something like that, and you don't understand perspective, or that if you're looking at the soup can from the one angle, the top is an oval instead of a circle. It's a circle, but you draw it as an oval, or you should draw it as an oval. So that's kind of the same premise. You need to look at a concept and nail it as close to the concept as possible, because that is what the studio is going to pay you to do. So the better you can do that, the more the more worth you have as a character modeler, if that makes sense. And it's not, some companies will hire you as a character designer. I've talked about this in some of my streams, but more often than not, they will hire you as someone who interprets a 2D concept and brings it into 3D. So yeah, this is very well done, and I like the hair. It's yeah, I don't really have much to say about it other than, like, if you can see my arrow, this maybe pull the cheek out just a bit. I mean, there's hardly anything. This is really, really good. Yeah, Milica's done some great work. So I wish I had more to say about that, but I don't. And not having something to say is a good thing. So, and this is super cool. The only thing about this guy, I don't know if Jason's in here. He's been doing some great stuff too. And the thing about this, the thing about creases is you can kind of do too many. You know, you need to kind of be careful on how many creases you do. And this is really good, this crease on the cheek and how it goes down like this. But like this crease on the nose, I would start it here and then blend it out. So it's kind of like, this really great artist that worked for Disney and Nickelodeon, stuff like that. He gave me some really good feedback on one of my characters. And it's kind of like, you don't want to encapsulate any certain part of your model. There's all the faces have structure, but you need to let them leak out, I guess is a good way to put it. And what that means is, see how this mouth area is surrounded and it's completely blocked off. And if you were to fill that with water, there's really no place for that water to get out, if that makes any sense. And same with this nose. This nose is completely blocked off from creases. So you kind of need to feather it out and give it some place to, block off or leak out, I guess. So in this instance, I would probably, get rid of this upper crease right here. Keep this one, but feather it out a little more as it goes down. This crease is great. Yeah.
We're not seeing your stylus, unfortunately.
Oh, you're not? Oh, no. My goodness.
Yeah, I think you have to use your mouse.
Oh, can you see it now? Gosh, that's a bummer. Okay, there's a whiteboard. Let me see this annotate thing. Annotate. Okay, hold on a second. Oh, here we go. Draw. Oh, it has a draw. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That red line?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. Ooh, sweet. All right. Thanks, God. You're just like, what are you talking about? Okay, very cool. So what I'm talking about is this line right here I would get rid of. You guys see that? And then this is what I'm talking about being blocked off. See, there's no way, if I was to fill this area with water, there's no way it would leak out. Does that make sense? So I would keep this crease or maybe even feather it, but feather it about right here and then bring it back in like this and feather out this part, if that makes sense. This is pretty cool. If you guys are seeing it okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we see that just fine.
Okay, great. This is good because it's feathered right here. Whoa, it's making dots. And then, so that's kind of something you want to look for, something like that. And you could even bring in like some more structure of this brow up in here. I kind of like how it's flat like this, but is there just a clear? There is a clear. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm just trying to get used to this. All drawings. Okay, great. Let's see. Now, as far as this neck goes, I would probably straighten this out and then just feather this out, because this pit right here is just kind of, making the light have a, see, you can see it right here. It's just kind of drawing in your eye. And I would straighten these out right here. There you go. I can just Control Z back out of it. And this is pretty good. That's good. Yeah, that's about. And then once you get, even on males, I would put in eyelids, like not eyelids, eyelashes, like just darken this up, and it will just make his eye pop. Even if it's just paint or physical geometry, it doesn't matter. And then this looks like it's being pushed into the head. I would pull it out. make it a better structure instead of letting the head define the shape. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if Jason is here. Does it say if he's here? Anyway, hopefully he can watch this back. I might figure, I want to try and figure out a way to what am I trying to say? To give timestamps to these and saying, okay, Jason's feedback is from here to here, Chris is from here to here, that kind of stuff. So I wanted to look at Chris's. He's been needing some feedback, and I haven't been able to give it to him. I don't think Chris is here either. If Chris is, if you're here, you can unmute your microphone. Let's see. Let's go up to draw. Okay. So the main thing with this one is basically cleaning up the surface and then adding some chaos to this hair. So if you can see, this hair is very, very similar, you know, throughout this whole thing. It's very even. There's not much interest. Even right here, these pieces are all even. So I would add some variety and simplify it a bit. I mean, it looks really good. This looks good from the side, this profile, and from the front. I would just clean up the lumpies up in here, and then add some interest to the eye shape too. So typically eyes will peak here and then go down. I'm not drawing it very well, but the peak is here, not here, right? That's kind of a common mistake that a lot of people make. You want to peak it here. So, all right, Control Z out of all these. And then just the surfaces, just clean up these surfaces and get them, you know, not so warbly. And then this ear, you know, you just want to make this super clean, because I mean, it kind of looks like this, right? Not so much, but it's pretty uneven. You want to keep the forms going from thick to thin if you're going to do that, and just keep it clean if you can. And the best way to do that is by Z-remeshing this thing, and then using the dynamic subdivisions, and keep it that way until, as far, you know, leave it that way as far as you can. And I keep promising the lesson on the Z-remesher. I'm getting it. I'm super close. But the reason I haven't done it is, and I wish I could say, I'm holding off for a reason, and it's gosh, I'm under NDA with Pixelogic. I can't say. So I wish I could, but something is coming that's going to change it. So that is why I've kind of been holding off. So just so you know. Anyway, with this hair here, right here, you've done a good job. Kind of, I know he's been struggling with this, and he's asked on other, like on 10K or something like that. He's asked other people how to do this, and it is super tricky. But this looks pretty good. But I would just kind of add some chaos to the edges, just kind of like I've drawn here. But as far as this surface is concerned, I mean, that looks pretty good as far as the shaved side of a head. Like my only comment is just in the lack of variety of these pieces here. And you also want to make sure this hair looks like it's growing out of something or somewhere. So right now, these just kind of end like this, where they should go into the head like this. I mean, not that exaggerated, but they need to be growing out of the head from somewhere. And same with the bangs here. They're crossing each other right here. And that's causing some interpenetration, and you need to kind of make these bangs grow out from the head here and kind of, you know, grow out in this direction. So that's, yeah, just, they need to come from somewhere and then overlap each other. So if some are coming out like this, and then, you know, just kind of overlapping each other as they go back, they just need to have kind of a part in here, not overlapping each other, if that makes sense. I know it's a pain in the butt and it's kind of hard to do, but that's what makes hair look good. So, okay. Is this going good so far? You guys like this? Does it help a lot?
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, it's helping.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
going awesome.
Very cool. Okay. So, and is it cool that I'm just kind of working down through these? Okay. Let's see. What to say about this one? This one is, let's see, whose is this? Let me look back here. Okay, Steven. Is Steven here? You guys know? I don't think we need to get more people here, or I need to focus on who shows up first and then work my way to the people who aren't here. The first thing I noticed on this one is, let's see, the anatomy is crazy intense, which is good. It's a lot of fun. But again, it's like what I was talking about with that first face, or not the first face, the parts that need to leak out because they're surrounded by, by edges, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So like this piece right here, it's really surrounded by solid edges, right? And it needs a place to leak out. Is the only way I can really describe it. I know it sounds weird, but like having a crease under here, but not all the way, like start it here and just crease there, and then smooth out this upper one, and then it'll give a profile kind of like this, right? The chest profile, instead of like that, where there's two edges here instead of just one. And this will add to the interest and the kind of the vinyl look. So you don't want to surround every single thing with hard edges. You want to, it's okay to put edges around here, but let it leak out right here. And it doesn't, and when I say leak out, gravity doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It just needs to have room to breathe, I guess. And I would soften all these internal anatomy location, just like this, and I would soften this. You can still have it there, but just it's calling attention to itself, because everything kind of has a weight to it when you're designing a character. Meaning, where does your eye get drawn to when you're looking at this thing? And to me, it's getting drawn to here. To here. Because it's kind of has weight to it and draws your eye. It has a lot of detail. So I would soften all of this stuff out. You can still keep it there, but just soften it out. And I know it's a fun exercise to do this kind of stuff, which is great. Everybody should do it once in a while, to do some anatomy exercises. But when let's see if I can go back. That's the only thing, is switching back to mouse from drawing. It's kind of weird. But if you're looking at your, this is the concept for the guy. I mean, he's pretty much covered from head to toe, from neck to toe, I guess. So having all that anatomy in there is a little overkill, but it's a fantastic exercise. So I don't want to deter you from doing that kind of stuff. And it really helps, but it's not necessary, I guess. So, yeah.
Hey, Shane, can you see chat?
Let me see. Let me pull up chat. Okay. Yes, I'm looking at it now. Okay. Let me pull it down wide. Oh, okay, Stuart. Okay. Yes, Stuart, I will pull something. I will reload it. Okay. Let's see. Hello. Okay, Caitlin, that's fine. You can just show your video. You can just turn your video off. That's totally cool. Okay, thanks for telling me about my stylus. Okay, loving this. Awesome. How do we decide which part to let leak out? Okay, that's a fantastic question. And the answer to that is it depends on the, here, let me go back to not, can I, Oh, I can just stop sharing my screen. Right? Go back to me. Okay, so it honestly depends on the change of direction of the surface. So, like for example, your eye, right? I have my glasses on, but like, so you're going from your brow to your eyelid, and then from your eyelid out to your eyelash. That crease inside your eyelid, that is where you're obviously gonna have a line. You're not gonna let it leak out there. But as that cavity comes around the front, the change of direction is more subtle out on your cheek. So it makes more sense to let it leak out onto your cheek. You know, like, so make a crease up and around the eyelid, but then delineate when it comes to the edge and when it comes to the inside of the eye. I'm trying to poke my eye out, but if that makes any kind of sense. And then, so just look at where there's the least amount of change of direction. So in the face, in the line, let's go back to that other face of his. Okay, sharing the screen again. You guys see this one? Okay, so for this one, go back to annotate and draw. I love this drawing, it's great. Okay, so for this one, the hard change of direction, gosh, I clicked my mouse button or my stylus button and it went away. Okay, so the biggest change of direction is in like the nostril pit, I guess is what you would call it. And then it would feather out as it comes out, right? Because the change of direction from this area, the side of the mouth and the jowl area, this is much less of a change of direction. Then if he has a protruding chin like this, then you could bring a crease back right here. And, you know, so you know that it would leak out here, if that makes sense. So this is what I was talking about with the eyelid is, you know, you'd have a crease right here for sure. Then it would, the change of direction is less in this area. So you could let it, you know, feather out right there. And it just adds a little more interest and, you know, it just makes your design stronger. And I learned this from John Diesta, our character art director, and from David Boudreau. I need to get an interview with that guy. Jeez, he's the best caricature artist. I have a couple examples of his work inside of the character design module, but yeah, it would be awesome to get an interview with him. Okay, so that's kind of my comments on this guy. His knees seem a little low and his arms seem a little short as far as proportions go, and his head, you won't really know. It looks pretty good, but you won't really know until you get further along. Let me clear this. Okay, so most of my comments are just in the, you know, just surrounding areas completely. Let's see. Now this one, yeah, the only comment I have with her, well, I guess I have, let me turn on this drawing again. I wish there was a hotkey. Okay, so again, it's kind of like Chris with the eyes. It's hard to tell, but you can see how they're peaking right here. And let me draw it bigger. So here's the eye shape. Why is it doing that? A stupid tablet thing. Hold on a second. You ever get that when you're trying to draw and it makes that white ring as drives me crazy. That's a Windows thing. Anyway, the eye shape is like this, right? And it peaks here. And that's kind of what it's doing. You can see it. It's hard to draw this small, but it's not like a perfect almond, you know, like that. It'll just make your eyes a little more appealing if you add that variety and give it some sort of a weight that way. And I added that whole page of different eye shapes inside the I'm trying to remember. I think it's in the, when I'm talking about eyes, I posted this big image of all these eyes, so you can see different eyes and different appealing shapes that you can get. So and then Make sure that your eyelids are buried behind your eye or above your eye, like right in this area. You can see how this eyelid is almost on the surface, if that makes sense. Like this should go back, then come out, not be out here on the surface. If that makes any sense. This nose looks really good. The mouth looks good from the side, except for it's, you can see that the lip finishes much quicker than this, if that makes sense. And you have it finishing all the way out to the edge. So typically an upper lip will go further out down the line towards the end. So like this. And here's the end, what I'm talking about, the corners of the mouth. Typically the upper lip will go all the way out there. Or sometimes the upper lip will overlap right here, and you can kind of push it down and roll it. I did that on my elf girl last week, if you guys were watching that on the Pixelogic channel, but I kind of rolled the upper lip over itself in this area right here. Okay, so let me make sure I'm looking at chat. My chat goes away and gets covered up. Let me see if I can expose it. Where are you, chat? There it is. Alt-H. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I'll get back to your questions in 1 second. Okay, so so the lower lip will finish right here, and then the corner will still go, but as far as the bulk of that lower lip, it should finish sooner and then go out to nothing. And again, the best way to do that, and you have it, is to actually add a cavity, a mouth cavity. That helps a ton. And the mouth is looking really good right now, but these corners are just kind of being pushed in, and then the lower lip is finishing too early, or too late, sorry. And then just make sure that from the side, this 3/4 profile, that you can see a little bit more of it right here, right? And then this hair block out is looking really good. So when you actually go in there and get the strands in there, it'll look really good. So yeah, that's it's looking good. I like it. I like it. Okay, let me get back to questions. Oh, Milika's here. How's it going? Okay. Everything like your eyes are marble rolling around in the face. You don't want it to get stuck anywhere. So, Stuart, I don't quite understand that question. I'm trying to understand. Are you saying let everything leak out? I'm just talking about on the surface of your face or the surface of your anatomy, even parts of clothing. And it pertains more to when you're putting in edges or not, or when you're like, because if you put in an edge from like a shoulder all the way down into the wrist, it can be there if it's part of the design of the clothing, right? But if it's a wrinkle or something like that, where it's happening because of the folds, you want to folds are a little different than, like, say, face anatomy, but you'll want to make that kind of be crisp where it's where the hard edge is. What am I trying to say? Where the change of direction is the highest, you'll want to put a crease on there. That's kind of, let the change of direction guide your creasing hand, if that makes any sense. And then as it kind of smooths out among itself, that's where you taper the crease off. Or if there's like a valley crease and a peak crease, you'll want to bring those two together at the moment where the material starts to flatten out, if that makes sense. And you don't necessarily want to make a clothing crease open, like I was talking about in the face, because it's an organic piece of material, but it's also stylized. It depends on the art director and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of left up to interpretation and what you want it to look like. But I will, sometimes I'll let let a crease line, we call them smiles because they kind of look like a smile. Sometimes we'll let the lower crease line kind of bleed out and leak out, I guess. It just depends. It depends on what the style calls for of the piece, I guess. Okay. Let me reload this. See what you guys are posting here. Oh yeah, Stuart. Okay. Right on. That's cool. Okay. So I'll get to yours in a second, Stuart. Let's see. Hey, Caitlin Scott. Okay. I replied to a previous post of mine and uploaded an updated version of your Wonder Woman. Yes. Okay. Yes. I saw it, and I'll get down there. I want to speak to that really quickly. So I really, really love the community and how it works, like the Google Plus style of community. I love these the categories off to the left. They're super good. But these act like hashtags. Okay, they're not really categories. They're just hashtags that it's like tacking onto your image so you can find them easier. Like if I click blockouts, it's going to show me all of the characters with that quote unquote hashtag on them, but they're invisible hashtags. And you can also put hashtags on your images, like real ones, like, you know, that you would use with like Twitter or something like that, and that'll work. But I don't know if you ever want to use them, but it works that way. So the only thing I don't care for with this Google community, and there's only the one thing really, and that's when you respond to your own post, it doesn't pop it up to the top like, you know, regular anything else. I think this is the only thing I've seen that doesn't do that. So I'm okay with you breaking it off and making a new thread in here with your new image as you update. The only thing I ask is just don't do it a ton. So don't fill the feed with your, you know, 5-minute updates every time. You know, try to make some really big milestones and then post it up here with your new image. That way everybody sees it and it gets posted right up front, because when you do reply to your own thing in here, it also kind of buries your image down inside, and that kind of sucks. And if what I'm trying to do is when I respond to somebody's post with an image, like an animated GIF or something like that, I will try and post a brand new thread, and I will you can do a plus whoever, and that will kind of tag whoever started that other thread and put them in there. It's kind of difficult because it doesn't always find the person. So you know, in your list of people, I guess, unless you're like Google Plus friends or something like that. Anyway, I just kind of post it hoping that the person who it belongs to sees it. And that way everybody else will see it too. Like you can see it's really cool how you can see the animated GIF actually animating in the feed. It's pretty cool. So anyway, any other questions before I get going on some more? Okay. If this is going to be the new feedback session, it's going to be amazing. I haven't posted in a while, but I hope to make it in time for the next session. Thanks, Juan. So like I said before, when all of you weren't here yet, I really want to condense these feedback sessions into like Friday sessions, like maybe 1 or 2 sessions on Friday. The reason I would want to do 2 sessions possibly, or either you know, do one in the morning on this Friday, do one in the afternoon on the next Friday, and go back and forth, just so people in different time zones have the ability to attend live if possible. So anyway, I just want to get more feedback out to you guys. I feel like I've been kind of lost in my freelance and in my, I'm doing, you know, updating the course with more lessons. Like I said, I have an interview tomorrow with Ian Jacobs that I'm going to be putting in the course. And I'm constantly working on updating this thing, which pulls me away from giving you guys feedback, which you so desperately need if you are hitting a wall or something like that, and you just throw this out there, and I'm like, I hope somebody, you know, answers, and you always kind of wonder if, you know, if student feedback is good or what, and it is. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal, so thank you so much. I see this stuff on my phone too, like when I'm out and about with my family or whatever, and I'll see something come up like a question, like, I'm stuck with this, how do I fix this? And I'm like, oh, I can answer this question right now. And then I look at the bottom of the thread and somebody else has already answered it. And I'm like, yes, I love this community. So thank you guys so much. I just super heartfelt appreciate it. It's been great. So, okay, let's get back to it. I hope you guys feel the same way. I haven't heard too much feedback on it, but I think so far it seems like people are digging it. So, okay, now this, I don't know, Chris, are you in here? Let me see. It only shows like 5 people. Maybe there's one. I don't know if Chris is in here. Chris, if you're in here, unmute and say hello if you have your mic. Anyway, because I like the people to be here and ask questions while I'm reviewing their stuff if possible. So this block out, one thing I recommend you do is Z-remesh this right away to give you so you don't have different densities in your objects. So that will help, I think. You may want to put your fingers in a different subtool so they don't get Z-remeshed when you do it, because those fingers look pretty nice big square fingers, and if you Z-remesh those, they might get messed up. So I would pull those out and then Z-remesh it. Then when you get similar densities, see how this has a high density and this one is low? When you get similar densities, then you can start playing with kind of melding your forms together more. That's like the biggest thing that I see as far as a problem with this guy is the melding of forms. So you have a really big change of direction right here. And I know it's in the cape right here, but I would try to get more of a shoulder, like a proper shoulder shape in here, rather than like this bulbous shape that you have going here. And then work on your flow right here. So you can see from the side, it has this change of direction like this. You'll want to make sure that it flows. Come on, pen, you can do it. So it flows more. And you can kind of see that in like here on the side of his leg. Here, let me erase all this stuff. Now with males, this is a thing that one of the things I'm a goal that I'm planning on for the summer. This is really what I want to do, is a stylized anatomy section in the course, and I'm going to go through the face. I'm going to go through every single body part and kind of I want to compare female to male and what the difference is. And here is one of the differences I'm going to show you guys now is, and like I keep saying, with a female, the hip shapes like this, and the peak or the belly or the whatever you want to call it, the biggest change of direction where it sticks out the most is typically right across from the crotch, right? So that's just kind of a telltale sign of, oh, that's a female. So with a male, you'll notice that the peak is here. So it's typically further down the leg and it's more boxy. So if I was to really exaggerate this, it would go from like the bottom of the rib cage all the way. See, I kind of exaggerated that all the way past that leg. Then it cuts in like this. And you can see that the peak is not across from the crotch, it's down, because it's that kind of that thigh muscle that's sticking out. And that's just something you can do to make it look, especially in superheroes, muscly guys. If it's more like a cartoon, super simplified, you can go with like more of like a hose shape. And that comes back to sculpt what you see, not what you know. I see a lot of students when they're doing something extremely cartoony where their legs are just a hose, and they'll start putting anatomy in there. It's like, no, just do it like the concept first, and then if it feels like it's lacking or it needs anatomy, that's when you can put it in there. But if, like in this instance, if the concept has anatomy, like a superhero, then you'll want to put it in. And this guy definitely has some anatomy happening, right? Anyway, If that, I hope that helps. But yes, like with the infinity characters, we did make a line that went from the bottom of the rib cage all the way down to that leg, where that leg peaked. So that's what I would do with this guy. I would take it from here and go all the way down to where that leg peaks, and then bring it in. See, right now it's peeking out right there, and it's almost. I mean, it's nice because it's got the kind of that fat thigh look, but just to add more interest, I would put the peak here, if that makes sense. Okay. So, and then if you're thinking about this, when they have boots or something like that on, it's absolutely okay to block in the boot rather than the foot, because that's essentially what you're going to end up with anyway. And you kind of have to keep it in your mind where you're going, like the path that you're taking to get there. And with this, you can see that the boot is, the flow of it is like that. And you have it almost right. It goes, but it keeps going. So I would literally cut it off. If you're going to block out the boot, cut the boot off where it's blocked out, like this. Right? And then, block out the foot, just like you see it underneath. You don't have to block out all the wrinkles and everything, but if you're gonna block out the piece, the part of the clothing that's like that, then do it how it is in the concept. So block it out like this. You can even make this a separate piece if you want. When you're blocking out things with primitives, your goal is to put in your volumes that you want, right? You don't have to put in multiple primitives just because there's a separation in, like, see, you're like, well, would I put in a primitive here and then put in another one that's overlapping it here? I would not do that. I would actually make one primitive that's one solid shape, because that helps me, right? And then when I'm making the boot, I will go in and actually draw the topology on the surface of that and then pop it off to make that boot separate. Does that make sense? Then, and I need to go into the course and make sure that that's clear, that you guys don't have to go in and do all the anatomy underneath just to cover it up. Like I said, it's a great exercise. It's a fantastic exercise. But when you're in full production and you're trying to save time and work through it, what you're really doing is you're giving yourself like a head start by blocking everything out with primitives. If like, I know a lot of you guys are old polygon modelers, and you'd start with, like, the pelvis and start to work your way out and build down the legs. It just takes longer because you're having to work technically as well as artistically. And what primitives do is they allow you to kind of swing things over to be more artistic and less technical. And that's what you're trying to do. So if you're going in and you're adding all this anatomy underneath there, that's all of a sudden it's making it a little more technical and slowing you down. Whereas, your goal is to just get to this finished piece, right? That's your goal. So whatever helps you get there, that's what you should be doing. So, for example, with this arm, I would do a primitive piece here, and then I would overlap it with another glove primitive piece here. Instead of, see, this piece is coming up over the elbow right there, and that's not how the concept is. It actually has an arm underneath there. So you can put another primitive piece under there. There's nothing saying you can't, and you should, because it goes towards helping you, So that is kind of what I would do with this block out, is just do more things that help you get to the end. And same with this barrel shape of the upper torso is nice, but you would benefit from bringing it out even further and making more of a change between the top and the bottom. the bigger, a bigger change of direction. As you can kind of see here, this is kind of a piece, and then this piece overlaps it. Kind of hard to see, but anyway, I hope that helps. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back. But the proportions on that guy look pretty good. Like knees are in the right place. Yeah, the elbows might be a little high, but yeah, pretty good. All right, Sean, are you in here? I know Sean's in here.
Oh, I'm always here.
Hey, man, how's it going?
But if you're gonna look at mine, if you click down into the discussion in there, there's an updated version.
Oh, thanks for telling me. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. Open it up. Oh, so this one or even more? This one. Holy cow,
it's the one, because that's the one where he did his where.
Oh, he did a paint over of everything.
So you want the one.
This guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not done with it though.
So this looks like an anatomy test.
Yeah. I want to turn it into a mannequin I can use for the more realistic stylized characters as well for females.
Very cool. So, all right, you guys, you get since you're live and you showed up and you're watching me, I'm gonna give you a little preview of something I've been working on that I hope is gonna help you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is it under here? Yes. Okay. So what I'm working on is to help you guys show you the difference between realistic and stylized. And ignore the hands and the feet; they're still realistic. But I made a morph target. I bought a 3D scan of a real person, and then let's see layers. Okay, so if I move this down to like 0, this is a real body scan of a real person. And you can see all the anatomy and how it works and all this, how all the ankles and everything works, right? And how it kind of has a relation to each other, and you can see how the collarbone sits and yeah, all that stuff. So basically what I've done is I've taken this and I remodeled it as a stylized character. And yeah, it's kind of trippy, but it's basically how I take, all the parts that exist and push them into a caricature, like make the head bigger, make, just all sorts of stuff, how to kind of exaggerate everything. Let's see. That's that's all the way. So I want to do this with a male as well. Male as whale. So a male as well. And then, so you can see how you would caricature something or stylize something. So I hope that'll benefit you guys. But, and this is kind of an in-between is what I would say. It's kind of realistic and it's kind of stylized. What I would do to this is just adjust proportions. And thanks, Scott. Thanks, Winston. And I'll give you that file when I actually make the module happen, so you guys can actually slide it yourselves and check it out. So I would honestly find a concept that works, because there's a lot of things that like these arms are super skinny compared to the thickness of her torso. And like the collarbone is kind of squirreling around, and a shoulder sits below the collarbone. So the collarbone goes, gosh, this pen. Okay, if it ends here, then the shoulder is beneath it. It doesn't sit on top, if that makes sense. It doesn't really go past. I know your primitive's going, but that's kind of something that would help you. And then, how this attaches is really good, because it creates this cavity here. And I would thicken up these fingers and make sure they flow with the edge of the hand. And having space between the fingers is good, but they feel quite thin compared to like the rest of her, I guess. So I would actually like, gosh, what would I do with this? Because this, like her legs are super stylized. The knees are a little low, but and then when you start to get up into the torso, you have like crazy anatomy happening. So if you're going to go anatomy, I would go all the way with everything. Or if you're going to go super stylized, I would go stylized with everything, if that makes sense. There's
I'm
one.
going to go all anatomy. It just takes a while. That's why I've been posting like little bits and pieces.
Right. No, it's super fun. It's super fun. There is, I'm going to show you guys a Gumroad that my friend Leslie Vandenbroek, that's fun to say. Leslie is, oh, come on, just go there. I don't want to follow him. Well, I do, but he works at Blizzard. Oh, come on, just go there. Let me see if there's another one. Style. Okay, here it is. Stylized female base mesh. So here's kind of Leslie's version of what you're making. And this might be a good thing for you to study a little bit. It's not perfect anatomy, but just the way he's approached it, and with the different primitive shapes and things, he's really exaggerated the parts. And then he starts with this and then pushes it into whatever he wants. The thing with starting with a base mesh like this is it automatically puts you in a spot where you're starting from somewhere. So that is going to influence your design afterwards. No matter what, it's going to influence it. That's why doing a base mesh is a good idea, especially if you have a ton of characters like Disney Infinity, where all of the females have to fit and match the same character. I was just talking to Caitlin about this yesterday, I think. And where you can borrow and kit bash and do things like that from all the other characters that you have. But at the same time, it also influences the design. And kind of like, I mean, I don't want to like say bad things about Danny Mac, but if you look at Danny's stuff, every single character of his looks very, very similar, all of his females, because he's kind of gotten to this rhythm and this pattern, and he uses just kind of, he gets this idea in his head of his designs, and that kind of makes them all look the same. And there's not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just pointing out that if you kind of do the same thing over and over, I'm sure my stuff tends to look the same too. But if you look at it, it influences the next one and the next one and the next one. So if you're looking for variety and a difference, then I would suggest blocking it out fresh every single time. That's, but you don't, you always want to save time and practice and get into this kind of stuff. But so my suggestion would be to just work on the proportions and the thicknesses of areas, just like the arms, like I'm saying. And, looks kind of like the head seems a little too thin left to right. I would either follow a realistic character 100% or try to find a concept that is stylized to follow, that is, already kind of there. But because I think you're shooting in the dark a little bit. It looks like you're looking at some anatomy references for sure, but not one in particular. Is that correct? I'm not.
So I have the concept there, but for right for like the base, I have it's from like Pose Maniacs, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
But it's the one female from front, side, and back.
I see.
I'm using that as like the anatomy because it gives all the surface muscle.
Okay. Yeah. I'll have to have you show me that.
Oh yeah, no problem.
See if it's see if it's in there. Okay, yeah, but we can push onward with this, no problem. It's looking cool. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Mike, Leslie is amazing. So, yeah, Leslie has a bunch of stuff up on Gumroad. If you guys are interested, let's see. So Leslie works on Heroes of the Storm at Blizzard. He does character work, but he's always streaming and just posting his art online, and it's very, very stylized, very similar to kind of my stuff. So if you're looking for somebody else to follow, Leslie's fantastic. He's a super nice guy. All right, so yeah, we can talk about Mike's stuff really fast. I've been working with Mike behind the scenes on this gal. She's turning out really well. Mike's really good at. Are you in here, Mike? I don't know.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, man.
So yeah, we've been just kind of talking about the pose and different kind of things. And I was just going to say, Mike, that you're super duper good with the final product as far as like the lighting and the surface textures and things like that. And it's really fun to see you bringing up the character stylization underneath that, if that makes any sense. Like, like it's kind of like you having this skill, like the end skill is there. You know what I'm saying? Like when you finished that, the winter challenge thing, and
yeah,
just the textures and the lighting and the finishing of it is super solid. And so it's just nice to see when you're bringing up your stylized character skills underneath that too. So
the icing is there. That's what you're saying?
Yep. You're just working on the cake. Yep. That's a great way to put it, for sure. So, yeah, we just kind of talked about, the posing and things like that. And kind of the big takeaway is, this turned out really great, but is to kind of choose a pose that it's kind of hard when the character is not in a pose that you want it to be in at the end, and you're kind of coming up with it yourself, because I don't know what to unless you're like a super pose master or like an animator or something that has really high pose skills. It's very, very difficult to concept posing when you're posing in ZBrush. So it's much better to have a pose that actually exists already, and you're trying to hit that, especially when you're learning, rather than trying to concept a pose yourself, because it's just counterintuitive and you'll get frustrated and you'll noodle with it for how long, Mike?
How long do you God, like probably like a week on the pose.
Right.
I had a girlfriend over who was like jumping up in the air and just like, she put her hair in a ponytail and she was like, look what's happening with my hair, So I had like a live model for a little bit, but man,
nice research.
Yeah, didn't really capture it totally.
Oh yeah, it looks good, man. That hair is nuts. What did you end up using for that?
So that's hair and fur in Max.
In Max, okay. Yeah, it turned out really nice. It's crazy. Yeah, like I said, your finishing skills are fantastic.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Frosting skills. Yeah, man, turned out awesome. Okay, yeah, Stuart, let's pull up yours really quick. Let me pull up this one. This one? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Hey, Stuart, do you have a bigger version of this, like that you could send me? I don't know if you can send stuff through.
Let me see.
Okay. While you're looking at that, I'll hit another one really quick. I don't know if Lorenzo. So Emma, is this you? Where'd all your pictures go? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, is this yours?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So this one, I was checking this out yesterday. This is solid. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
So there's just a couple things. Where'd my pen go? Okay. So I love her head shape that you have going. Yeah, this is gonna work. I can tell. Just yeah, you just have this really nice head shape going, and the collarbone let's see. The only thing I would do is probably make these arms just a little bit, have a little bit more volume to them.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of in this stance of, I think it's because her arms are back, but you have it kind of going like this, and then her legs are doing the same thing. So it's exaggerating her posture, which is pushing in her pelvis that direction a little too much. So I would stand her up a little bit more because it helps with rigging.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of following that, let's see. Yeah, just making her stand up straighter right there. And then just actually that will help with this. The pelvis tilt and the rib tilt is fine, I think. Even though animators and riggers hate it, it will get your stuff approved. and then just kind of rock the arm forward in this direction so it's straighter, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You can bend it slightly at the elbow like this, just a little bit, but typically you'll want this to be as straight as you can all the way down for rigging. And then the hand looks great. You did a really good job with that.
Thank you.
All the pads and everything, they're pretty solid.
Well, I saw your video, then I fixed what I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's really good, and I like how it has this cup in the palm. The lack of volume in there is really nice, and just this the finger shape is really nice. Yeah, looks good. It seems like, I don't know, if anything, it might be a little too long from here to here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if anything, it's just slightly too long. That's all.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like the proportions here. See that? Maybe just maybe that much shorter is all. Just barely.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, this is the ribs are nice. Maybe I'm trying to find some stuff. Maybe her pelvis could be longer.
Mm-hmm.
Just slightly longer, like about like that. Oh, and then from the front, I would bring her feet inwards. So, because she's kind of looking bow-legged a little bit, see how it's kind of like that? You want to straighten them out more. So this is good, but make sure it peaks right here and then bring it in. So the peak needs to be here. If you bring the crotch down,
Okay.
then the knee is good right here, and then the calf on the inside typically peaks there. I'm exaggerating it. Don't do it this crazy.
Okay.
And then the outside has a longer, slenderer curve.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't peak up here where you have it. It peaks more down here. Well, not that low, kind of in the middle. So let me see if I can redraw it. Something like that. And it's hard to see in her boots.
Yeah.
If you were to draw here, see this one kind of peaks like that. This one should go like that. I mean, the illustrator has it convex or concave, sorry. So it's again, it's kind of hard to visualize when he has it going like that. When typically a leg will go like that, you know.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
What is it better, to stick to the concept or to make the anatomy correct?
So the concept is king. So I would match the concept first. Then if it looks strange in 3D, then fix it. So.
Because about what you said about the leg, the concave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you design that boot, I would make it concave like that. And I would make this leg as thin as the concept. And make sure you get that shape. Yeah, anatomy is underneath the concept. So concept first, unless the concept is just broken, you know, and that happens sometimes, especially when you get designers like Steven Silver, who will just push the 2D. Like there's no way you could make that thing in 3D. So you just have to, at that point, you have to make it feel like the character instead of look exactly like the character, if that makes sense. So if you're starting to make this boot and concave feels wrong, then start leaning towards what the real anatomy would do, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this seems, yes. I'm trying to picture, come on, draw. Where'd my drawing go? Let's see. I have to keep clicking back on my pen. So, come on. It does that stupid Windows tablet circle thing. Okay, there it goes. I'm just trying to picture. Oh man! So if I draw a circle, it takes away my sketching ability. Just try and I guess I can draw lines like this instead of little circles. But you just want the proportions to match. And it looks like it's something in there is throwing me off. I don't know if it's since the knee is. I think you just need to push the knee in that direction so it's straight. That's all.
Okay.
And you'll want to measure from the hips from this point where it hinges, not this point. So a lot of people will measure from this point. And when you're measuring with the bones, it's the bones inside and the hinge and the sockets and things that matter. So in animation, it hinges here and here, you know what I'm saying? And then the ankles. And that's kind of where you get your measurements from. So, okay. And then, and then again, like I said, just straighten the legs out from the side. I think and then move her arm down and she's good. But yeah, the hair block out looks great. The head looks great. Maybe her forehead is a little bit too bulbous, too much inflate. Maybe flatten that out a little bit. Maybe just slightly. But that's about it. So yeah, good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Stuart, do you have one?
Yeah, I added a comment to that post.
Okay. Let's see. I might have to reload the page. Is it this post right here?
Yeah, but I think you have to click on the comment.
Larger image for feedback. Awesome. There we go. Okay. I want to open this in a new tab. A really quick way to get to the Google communities, I don't know if you guys know, is through this. If you just go to google.com and there's this little kind of phone dialer thing, it's just right here. And then it'll bring you to the communities, and then you can just, if you see the word in your feedback, you can just click on that and it'll take you there. It's pretty fast. Okay, I just wanted to look at the concepts while I had this open. And it's not going to let me. Oh, come on. It wants to fill my entire screen.
I posted a link to the original concept there too, if you want.
Did you? Okay. Awesome.
In the original post.
Oh, is this? Oh, right here. This one. Oh yeah, this is such a great concept. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, we can just go back and forth between these two. I'm gonna close this one and then Alt Tab. Okay. Where'd my pen go? Let's get some drawing. Is there a hotkey for that? Okay. Okay, so for this one, a lot of the comments that I gave Emma kind of follow the same. Just work on. I would make sure for females, there's kind of a hip bone that pops out right here, and then it goes back. I'm exaggerating again, and then it kind of ends there. And then this is good. Then it goes, and then straighten this out, something like that. So the calf peaks right here. And then goes down, and then again on the inside of the leg peaks right here, and then this side is a nice flowing shape. So And this is way exaggerated. You don't have to, don't do it like that. And then I would make the bum a little more subtle, maybe not so crazy. Not like that though. Just soften it just a little bit. And then, just make sure it looks like you have it, but make sure it peaks right there. And then the body, the torso looks pretty good. The change of direction happens where the elbow will sit when she puts her arms down. So it looks like you have it correct. And the biggest thing I notice with her is in the face and then the eyes and just kind of where they're hanging out, I guess. Let's see if I can tab over. So with proportions on the face, and I'm going to get into it just a little bit, but typically a good measurement system is pretend she has 3 eyes, and the eye in the middle is the same size as her eyes. So that's kind of the proportions that help you as far as like how far should these eyes be apart. With stylized eyes, it's a little more difficult because it's not always like that. Sometimes they're closer together, sometimes they're farther apart. But a good rule of thumb to start with is just, the space between the eyes is the same as how wide the eyes are themselves. So, and you kind of have that going here, but see this line right there? I think that's detracting. You're taking away from the eyes themselves. I would make the eyes bigger. Gosh. And then flatten this area right here. And kind of get rid of that line that's happening in there. And it will help a lot to also make the eyes peak again, like I've said before, make them peak right here. Let's go look at that. Looks like this guy has it peaking a little farther back, but it's definitely peaking like right here. But I will usually take it and bring this peak closer in this direction, if that makes sense. So just so long as you're not doing like just like a perfect almond in 3D, that's just make it peak somewhere, if that makes sense. And then you can also put this lower eyelash on there and it will help. It's kind of difficult when the nose is not very it's not very apparent in the design, especially when you have more than one image, like this one from the side. To me, that one looks like a different person. So it's not, I think this is showing off how the hair is working more than showing you how her face should look. So I would ignore this one as far as her face and stick to this one. And this one is okay from the front. It's not too bad, but I would stick to that 3/4 view as your main concept for the most of the thing. So let's see. And this one, as you get further, I might have you send this to me and because to kind of draw over it and show you what things I would change is really difficult. Is because it's a whole bunch of little tiny subtle things that I would change, I'm trying to get in here with this. So I would just keep going on this. And then when you get farther along, I'll just have you send it to me and maybe we'll do it in one of these Q&A sessions and we'll go over it. Does that sound cool?
Yeah.
Okay. And the hair, it's, I would make it even less geometry, like not so dense, and you'll have a better time moving it around and blocking it out if it's less dense like that. And you can really like try and work on it piece by piece. So like this piece right here, and it looks like you are, but just really focus on. I would actually make this into 3 pieces. I do this one, then this one, and then, gosh, the hair is such a puzzle. I'd have to get in there and really start to mess with it. But the way I typically do it is I start with the two that are closest to the face first, because those are going to matter the most. And if you watch I don't know if you saw the elf that I just made for the Pixologic stream, I put her hair on her, and these are the two strands that I started with. I started with the one closest to her face, and then the one on this side, and then you just kind of work your way back, and around. I didn't even finish on the back of her head because she wasn't viewed from that angle, so she's still bald in the back. But yeah, that's typically how I work, is get the two main ones first and work your way around. So, but this one is tricky, this big one, because it twists right here, so it's twisting to come out. So that one, you can do it by actually just kind of taking a pinch brush and going along this edge, and then just kind of going over there, and then you can just push in this area, so to make it look like it's twisting without physically twisting it, if that makes sense. It's really tricky to do, but the results are good if you can get it to work. So anyway, do you have any other questions? Like parts that you're stuck on or anything like that? Yeah, the lips are
I think the legs, actually, I always get stuck trying to cram a bunch of anatomy that isn't necessarily there on it.
Yeah, you don't. That's actually that's kind of the hardest thing that you fight with, is if you know anatomy at all, you want to try and put it in there. But with stylized characters, you just want to have it be that. Just have it be the shape it is in the concept and in the silhouette, and you don't need any more than that. I mean, because that there's that, that thigh muscle right there, and how the knee has like 3 or 4 parts, and it's, what I mean? You can get in there and just start going to town on it. But the more you put in there, the uglier it'll look on a stylized character. You want to keep it like extremely simple, super simplified. And that's why in cartoons, you'll actually see, just like straight lines, like all the way down, or even like just barely some bumps to define it, and the simpler, the better, honestly. But just make sure that it does follow the anatomy guidelines as far as the silhouette goes. So I would actually bring this out, and well, not that much, but bring it out and make it go like this, and then make the calf go like that, as far as like where the silhouette peaks. Just follow those basic drawing kind of guidelines, and that's the stuff that I want to talk about in that anatomy module. But anyway, yeah, just kind of refrain from doing too much anatomy, because you'll just kind of get stuck.
And do you have any advice regarding the cape? And I got some good feedback from Scott and Sean on Sunday that I'll try and get to this weekend. Yeah, I'm going to chuck the head entirely, and
okay.
There are 5 other heads further up on that page.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to try and do another head and tack it on.
Great.
That cape, I'm not quite. I was going to try and make a cone or something and draw with the mask brush, I guess. How would you?
Okay, so that's a great question. So, and for the face, I would honestly go and watch that. Like my last 2 streams where I made that elf girl, I think you would benefit greatly from that. Watching those, I don't know what to do with those, to make them part of the course, or just like refer to them, or you know what I mean? It's kind of hard.
I caught bits and pieces of them, but I'll watch them entirely. Like your pirate girl, that's kind of been my main touchdown. Yeah.
And it's kind of hard because I kind of want to I need to make the Q&A the most benefit from, I like the course because it's organized and it walks you through everything more so than the streams. But also the feedback, I think, is to me, if I was a student, that would be worth a lot. That's why I'm kind of trying to get better at that and condense it like this. So, okay. So what I would do is I would create a shape like this, and then, yeah, a definite cone that would kind of go like this. And with the cowboy, I did it with his he has this duster on, and from his belt down, it kind of flares out like this, and this is how I did it. So basically you can use my insert primitive cylinder because it doesn't have any splits in it like this. There aren't any loops. There's just a top and a bottom, so you can grab the whole bottom like this and then make it larger. So you start out with a cylinder, that's all small like this, and then you can grab the bottom like that and then pull it down and then scale it really big. That's what I would do. And then you can go in and make it skinnier from front to back. As far as when I say front to back, I'm talking about like in this direction, make it thinner. So from the top, it would be more like this. And then the skirt would go down, or the cape would go down and be big like that and underneath. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like it wouldn't stay a perfect cylinder. Then I would use the topology brush and draw it on, because then you could go like, for these parts, you could even make triangles, because they're triangles, and just come in here with the topology brush and then go across and make a triangle right here. And that's okay. Does that make sense? And then you just kind of draw it on there.
Yeah.
Make triangles, and then you would add thickness later. So that's essentially how I make most of my clothing. Is I don't use the mask method to pop it off and extrude it, because unless it's something that's very, very dense in detail, like some lace. Like if I have some like super curly lace or whatever, like something like this, to make it, draw it and then make it all topology would be a super pain in the butt. So if I have lace or something like that, that's the only time I will typically do the masking method. And the reason why is because it gives you like not very good results when you go to Z remesh it, if that makes sense. Like if I was to extrude, like mask this off, pop it off, Z remesh it, typically in the points, like the reverse point areas and these points, the Z remesher will make some really bad geometry decisions when it's trying to do that. So like it just gets, you can try it out and see what I'm talking about, but it will just make some really weird things happen. Sometimes you'll get it and it'll work. It's like making a wish on a wishing well, doing the Z remesh stuff. You're like, oh, I hope this comes out. And then you just throw in your coin and see what comes back, So I typically personally like to have more control than that. And the less amount of geometry that I have, the better my results will be. So this is exactly how I made the cape on Loki. He didn't have all of these bits hanging off. It wasn't like it was all triangular on the end, but it did, it was swooping for sure. Let me show you. You guys can remember. Oh, looks like I need to clear it. Okay. Okay, so if you look at Loki's cape, it's pretty crazy, and it flips all over the place. And the best way to, you'd be like, oh, how do I even start sculpting that thing, right? And what I did is I just made a big giant, here, let me go back to my drawing. Keep acting like you can see my cursor. So I just made a big piece, a primitive piece that was kind of shaped like this. And it doesn't matter how big the piece is, because all I care about is that back surface that I'm going to be drawing on. And it's kind of like this. I just made this chewed up bubblegum shaped thing that I knew that the cape was going to flow from his shoulders back up and around and down the back side of that shape. So I just wanted to create a surface for myself that I could then manipulate on, like draw the geometry on the top. So then what I did after that was, I mean, picture me on the back side of this shape, but I would just start drawing all my geometry all the way down this cape and made it flow right on the surface, right? Then I would, so this part of it, I could actually build in the flow of it. I wouldn't necessarily put these sections in that base shape. When I made this guy, I just made it simple. I made it like this. You know, I didn't, you know, put all of these points inside that base mesh to draw on top of. I added those after the fact. So you kind of want to start from simple and take it to more complex, if that makes any sense. So does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay. And same thing for this, you know, how it kind of turns on itself around the shoulder right here. You just, as long as you have that geometry underneath there, right, you can draw the geometry and just make it attach right there, if that makes sense, and just make it come around because you have a surface to draw on now. That's kind of the key, is give yourself something to build the geometry on top of. And you definitely could do the masking method and extract it from there. But the key there, if you want to do that, is to make sure that when you extract, that you have a single-sided surface. Because that's way easier to work with than an extracted thing that has double sides, you know, that has two sides. That will just make you cry because it's, you know, you're trying to manipulate both the front and the back of the cape at the same time. It's best to get the cape exactly how you want it as a single-sided mesh and then add the thickness after the fact. And in games, just so you guys know, when you create something like this for a game, typically capes will be a double-sided material. And what we did for Infinity was we just did this really small loop of geometry right along this edge that made it look like the cape had thickness. This doesn't like to draw really short lines, but so it made it look like the cape had thickness, and it was still just a single-sided piece that had a double-sided material. And the only one that didn't was Syndrome. And because of this very reason right here, where one side was black and the other side was purple, you know, the inside of Syndrome's cape is a different color than the outside. So we had to make two sides to his cape. But every other cape in the game is a single-sided with a little row of geometry along the edge to make it look like it had thickness, if that makes sense. That's just so it caught the light as the light went around and it made it look like it had thickness. And I would do the exact same thing with that collar too. This collar right here is I would just make an upside down shape like this and then just draw the geometry on the surface, you know, and then just pop it off and boom, you have a collar. You know, it's just don't overthink it. A lot of people just tend to overthink it. How am I going to make that collar? You know, it's like just draw a shape and then draw the topology on top. It's that's how I create the eyeballs and the eyelashes and everything. I just draw it on top. Super easy that way. All right, is that cool?
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Oh, looks like Caitlin took off. Okay. Yes, it's doing the press and hold thing. Do you know how to fix that, Pier Paolo? I don't know how to fix that. But yes, the press and hold thing drives me crazy, especially in the middle of a stream. Oh, man. Okay, let's close this down. Go back. Okay, it looks like we're reaching 11:30. Is anybody here that wants me to hit on their stuff? Is Carlos? Carlos, are you in here? Or if Julian is here? Yeah, let me know if you're here and you're wanting me to talk about your stuff. I don't want to miss you. Yeah. Because I just wanted to say, look at this hair. This is great. Super great. Oh, Chris? Okay. Go to pen settings. Okay. Thanks, Pierpo. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Yeah, this hair. So this turned out fantastic. I love what he did with it. So the only thing here that I think you have left, if you are here, is the hands. The hands, so from the side, they look a bit inflated, kind of like a balloon. So I would thin those out just a bit. Then from the side, the thumb looks large, and then the fingers are I would spread them out a little bit and just solo this hand and pay as much attention to this hand as you have on her face and her feet. Like her feet look great and her face looks great. And you can treat a hand just like a character, and it needs as much attention as the rest of it. So right now it kind of looks like it was ignored a little bit, and it needs as much love and attention as the rest of the characters. So that's the only thing, is I would get some reference and work on that hand a bit. But everything else is looking phenomenal. Super, super nice. Let's see. Okay. Corinne, how do you know how to go okay. I think I understand your question, but how do you know how low to go with the low poly? Okay, there we go. I'm used to doing work with smooth previews turned on, but this is the first time I'm using Marmoset, which I assume doesn't have. That all depends on the end product and where it's going to go. So it depends on if you're going to take it to mobile, if you're going to take it to next gen, or something like that. And that kind of gives you the goal of where you should take your resolution of your model. So if you're doing it for a portfolio, it depends on if you want to work in mobile or if you want to work on the next gen consoles. And then what I would do is I would find a game that you would want to work on, find some of their characters, and they will usually put them up and you can see the density of the surface of that model from the game that you would like to work on, and kind of use the square size as your guideline as far as how dense to make it. And what I did with the course, I gave you the resolution that I used on Disney Infinity, and it's a little low for next gen. It's actually quite low because they had to show a whole bunch of characters on screen at once. So we had to make it lower than typical characters. And so it's kind of in between mobile and next gen. It's even pushed a little bit more towards mobile, if I was to guess. So it looks like it started as a few pieces and then it was melded together, and then probably using the polish trick to polish the ends together is what it looks like to me. So yeah, super nice job. But okay. Let's see. So who was saying yeah, for your portfolio, I would go more dense, I guess. So some good characters to look at are like the Overwatch characters or Assassin's Creed, just things like that where people have posted a whole bunch of their characters on ArtStation, and you can actually see the mesh density because they're much higher than what I've shown on the course. So let's see. Hey, Chris F., where is yours? What was your character again? Let's see. Danny's, Dominique's. Man, I didn't get through as many as I'd like. There's so many. They're good. Yeah, Matt, this is awesome. Corinne, this is great. This is great. So another thing, though, Corinne, is you'll want to try and get the densities to match. See how the density in your pants is higher than the density in your shirt. Like the shirt is lower. You'll want to kind of have your character have an overall equal density, I guess. Sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes it's very difficult. But yeah, just try and make the density match overall. Let's see. Okay, yeah, since the sleeves are so low, it's probably buried. Oh, let's see if I can find you here. Chris, there's too many Chris's. All the Chris's. What? Let's see. Chris Baxter. This guy turned out so awesome. All right. Oh man. What's your how could I find you? Where did you post it? Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you. This guy? Sure. Is that the one you want me to talk about? This guy? Because I don't have much to say about him because he turned out really, really good, I think. The only thing I have to say is really I would start the crease on this brow here and kind of make it go away up here and then bring it back in. Sorry, I'm using my mouse. Dang it. Okay, gotta get used to that. So I would make it crease right there and crease right there and kind of feather it out up here is all. And then, but you already have it kind of, yeah, heavy crease here and then work its way out to be feathered here, which you have. So that's good. Yeah, you've made great creasing choices and the guy looks like the guy. Super nice. Any of them? Okay, let's look at the other ones. Yeah, so I just have to say, Chris, this guy right here is so much better and more improved, even the hair and everything, than this girl. So this girl's pretty good, but you can see how just how much you've improved, even in like the eye shape and just like the pinched nose, the pinched lips. Yeah, it's a lot. You've improved quite a bit. And this guy's great. A lot of people, this is another thing a lot of people do is they'll pinch the lips and bring in lips that aren't actually there in the concept. I mean, I can't see the concept right now, but this is a much better example of stylized lips than I've seen. So yeah, really good. Nice mask, nice nose. The clothing is a little rough. See how the light is kind of cascading across. I would possibly rebuild the clothing and make the yellow a separate piece, so it has a different piece, and then Z-remesh everything and smooth it out, and then subdivide it again. That'll clean it up and make it smoother. So yeah, definitely some warbles, but that hair is great on that guy, super great. Yeah, and again, this you can tell this is one of your older pieces where you have this detail in the ear and heavy creases all around. And the lips are kind of kissy lips protruding off the surface of the face. And the eyelids have a lot of warble to them. So yeah, you've come a long ways. So my favorite is that masked dude. I don't know if that's Robin or not, but and the latest guy that you did. Yeah. Dreaded warbles. Damn those warbles. So, all right. And then, yeah, if you guys have any other questions, let me know. I know we've kind of gone long. I want to typically keep this to about an hour and a half. So we'll see. But I want to answer some questions. If you guys have burning questions, let me know. I'm glad, Corinne. I'm glad you figured out these eyelashes, your baking problem. And I don't know why, but sometimes it will just dump the UVs for no apparent reason. I don't know why. But yeah, this high res is looking really nice. Same with the low res on the face. It looks like your envelope missed a little bit on that ear and the eyelids. But yeah, going from Maya to ZBrush, it's really weird. I've ran into it myself and I don't know why. I can't explain. But just know that as soon as you see black, if you're trying to bake and black comes out, it's most likely UV problem. So,
I have a quick question about 3D coat.
Sure.
And it's kind of it kind of goes to what happened with the Maya to ZBrush with UVs. I find that when I'm doing the UVs in 3D Coat and I bring them back into ZBrush, in 3D Coat nothing is overlapping, right? Everything is nice and spaced. But when I put it into ZBrush, 9 times out of 10, because I won't notice it in ZBrush, but when I go into Marmoset, say like a shirt and pants, they overlap when you go from one program to another, even though it's spaced out enough, it shouldn't be doing it.
So, gosh, I was trying to avoid this with the course because I don't want you guys to buy any more software that's unnecessary. But the best thing to do is make sure that everything that you're going to put onto one map is all unwrapped at the same time. That's the best way to do it. So you want to see your shirt and your pants and everything that you're going to be putting on one map all in the same paint group, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Because if you bring it in separate paint groups, the paint groups represent maps. So it's okay if the UVs overlap if you're assigning different maps to each one, if that makes sense. But if you're going to put your shirt, your shoes, your pants, all that stuff on one map, you want to make sure it's named like it's all in one bake group and it's all in one UV unwrap group when you're unwrapping it in 3D Coat, if that makes sense. So you'll want to combine them all into one. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think if I have it here. Let me see.
Because I know in 3D Coat, like generally I have like one texture map that's just closed, and I just call it like when you go into 3D Coat, you make the new UV group.
Yeah.
And I just name it Close. Right.
And so on your right in the preview, here, let me stop sharing this. In the UV preview screen on the right-hand side, when you hit unwrap, you should see everything in that paint group, and you should see them all not overlapping each other.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you are blindly UVing the shirt by itself and then the pants by itself, there's a good chance it's going to overlap. If that makes so, they need to be unpacked or packed, I guess. They need to be unwrapped and packed together as a unit. So then 3D is going to pack them together and not overlap them, if that makes sense. And then the last thing is you have to make sure you apply the UV set at the very, very end, or it's going to do some bad things. You know?
Yeah, I've got a piece of paper tacked next to my monitor. It says apply.
I know.
Apply UVs.
I don't even know why.
Always forget.
I don't know why that's even a thing. It's like, yeah, I'm going to apply them. I just did them, didn't I? Why do I have to remember that? It's like this big human error wrench that's thrown in my spokes.
And so, to piggyback on that, is that why, so say you're retopping a bunch of clothes, or doing UVs for a bunch of clothes on a character, and then in 3D Coat, even though they're on the same texture pack, I find that if I bring that over into Substance Painter, if I just want to get some cool materials or something, when I import everything, it will take all of those pieces and put them in their own UV piece. So like it'll be like the boots, and even if the boots and the pants are all on one texture sheet, it'll pop them out and put them in its own texture sheet, but it's in the exact same spot as the overall sheet, which is weird.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't know if it's an issue with like 3D Coat to Substance.
Are you doing the FBX or OBJ or?
I always do FBX.
FBX, okay. FBX is a finicky beast, as you guys might have found. The reason I taught FBX is because what it does is it compartmentalizes your pieces when you bring them over, and it just makes it so much easier when it works to do it that way. if you're having problems getting parts and pieces over back and forth, you can switch to OBJ. But what that does is it will not allow you to do multiple pieces in multiple sets. It will actually combine everything into one and move it over. And if it does that, then you can't hide pieces and parts when you're doing UVs. Like say, you have some UVs down inside your shirt or something that you can't see, so you want to hide the chest. If you do it OBJ, you can't do it that way. You have to import each piece as a separate thing and then export it out as a separate thing. And I'm just wondering if you could try exporting out of 3D Coat as an OBJ and then bringing it into Substance Painter. But would
it be easier just to do the textures and such by going, I think it was Pulvich, because he does where, he takes his high polygon model and then he just does the poly paint, where it's all like flat colors, and he imports that into Substance, and then he just does all of his textures and stuff in that. Yeah. And then he would go through and do the retop and UVs afterwards.
Yeah, not to get into Substance too much, but what Substance wants is it wants big, bold colors as poly paint to compartmentalize your colors all over your object. So it doesn't initially want poly paint to be used as diffuse color. There's some tricky things that you have to do to get it to work. So when you actually bake your map, it's going to put it in the, I'm trying to remember, like the selection. It wants to use those colors as selection set.
Yeah, it does.
You have to like retarget that and put it into the diffuse. So that's, excuse me, and I've done that before, and it's an easy way to do it. And that's, I do the same way that Michael does, it sounds like.
Okay.
Use it that way. And that's the same thing with Marmoset. You have to kind of like set up your materials to actually work with the vertex coloring rather than a texture,
Right.
You're going to be making that texture. But as far as when I said I don't want you guys to be buying a different program, I didn't say this in the course, but there's typically a step that I do that's in between 3D Coat and Marmoset. And that is where I will bring it into something else like Maya, because what I'll do in Maya is I'll soften edges and I'll make sure I'll check my UVs out and make sure they're all good and they're there. But Maya is hella expensive just for something like that. So I wish that 3D Coat had a little more in the UV layout department and checking things and doing its organization, the object organization to make sure you can put all the pieces together and unwrap them together. It's I need to delve into that a little bit more and see if there's some tools in there that will help with that, because and it depends on, a lot of you guys have used other programs before coming to ZBrush, and you can do that part anywhere. You can do it in 3D Studio Max. You can even do it in Blender. It doesn't matter where, but just know that 3D Coat is I don't know if it's lacking or if just the tools are hidden and I don't know where they are, but just the order to see, kind of where to organize that stuff and where to soften your edges and things like that, because soft edges and hard edges will screw up your map baking, and ZBrush doesn't have any tools in there to assign soft or hard edges. So that's kind of crappy. But I think Maya LT will do it, and Maya LT you can buy for like a year, $170 or something like that. But again, it's another purchase, and that sucks. So, but Maya is the industry standard, and I don't know. I've been thinking about doing an advanced character modeling course on that. But speaking of Maya 20018, its UV tools are it's like they looked at 3D Coat and they copied it, but they copied like 95% of it. It's still missing some tools, but it's very, very, very close to now to what 3D Coat does. And then you also get the additional Maya UV tools on top of that, the organization and the straightening and all sorts of stuff on top of that. So, I may do a section that covers that. And also their quad draw, the retopology tools are very, very similar to the way 3D Coat does it. And I need to do a test to see if you can do all that stuff in Maya LT. It's Maya Lite, which is kind of an educational version of Maya. And like the difference in price between 3D Coat and Maya is like $70, but the purchase of 3D Coat is like lifetime purchase, kind of like this course, whereas Maya is like yearly. You got to pay $170 a year, and that's kind of crappy. So I'm trying to debate if I want to show you guys how to do that or not, because Maya's finally coming to where they're good with their UVs and their retops. So okay, does that kind of answer your question, Mike? We can talk about it more and get it figured out, but okay, let's see. Okay. Clay Tong, you say when you're first learning ZBrush and not very good, how do you know when to stop working on a model and move on with the new one? Honestly, what I would do if I'm first learning ZBrush, if I was just going to start learning ZBrush today, what I would do is I would block out as many characters as I had before my attention ran out. So because blocking out characters is kind of the base of all characters, it's very hard because you want to do what ZBrush is good at, and you want to get into those details and those nitty-gritty little tight details. But you need to resist and have the willpower to stay out of that, because I know that's the fun part, and that's where it gets you like noodling and doing all the surface stuff and the painting and all that stuff. But trust me when I say get good at blocking out your characters, because that is the solid foundation base for any character. So if you have you're doing like, I don't know, a good 80% of the work when you block out your character. And so if you can get good at that, the rest is just kind of icing on the cake. So and then with blocking out characters, you get used to the masking functions, the hiding and showing functions, how to move objects around, how to manipulate your subtools, how to use ZRemesher, all that kind of stuff, and how to utilize polygroups. You'll be learning all that foundational stuff every time you block out a character. So I would just recommend, just don't take a character all the way to the end when you're first starting out. Just take it to the end of block out and be satisfied with that block out. Then just move on to the next one and do another one, do another one. And finally, when you're like, you know what? I want to take this block out to the next step. Let's start making clothes for this guy and seeing if I can do that and kind of, go to the next step and learn something new. So I hope that helps out. That's what I would do. Let's see. My eyes are getting kind of dry. Okay, you're planning to do this as the next project. Okay, let me check it out. Oh yeah, so Andre made those characters. I'll ask Andre to post those in the community so you can see them. But so what's your question about them? Can you go over some of the techniques you would use to create the smooth curved faces and edges for something like this? So I mean that's a pretty big question. But what I would do is what I just explained is I would block these guys out, get the block out solid before thinking about, how can I make the surfaces clean? How can I do the nice clean edges and stuff like that? That stuff will come later. Just get the character that you want to work on blocked out first and get that solid. Then worry about, doing the clothing and stuff like that and getting those edges. But getting the edges on the clothing just like this, it's exactly like I show in the course with the Kate character. It's no different. It's exactly the same. And yeah, you just kind of, you know what? Next Friday, I'm gonna show you guys some creasing techniques, just some hard edge and soft edge skills, and just kind of show you, like with the hair. Let me share my screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so I'm going to write myself a note. But so like, where's the drawing? Annotate, drawing. Okay, so like the creases up here in the hair, like this bit right here, this one, and then this one. So I can show you how to get those inside of a a bigger piece like this. Yeah. But as far as these clothes go, you know, you do it the exact same way that I talked about earlier in this stream, talking about doing that cape. I would do this robe exactly the same way, or the skirt exactly the same way. And creasing this stuff, I would actually crease it with the crease inside of ZBrush. I wouldn't use a brush. I would use crease. And I'm not talking about the pinch brush. I would actually like build it out and actually use crease to do those things. And I'll do that more often than not. I like to do that more than using the crease brush or the pinch brush, because the pinch brush can introduce problems, and a creased edge will typically not. The only thing with a creased edge versus a brush is, like, say you crease this edge on the arm here, and you actually use the crease on an edge loop, you will not be able to feather it out as easily as you would with the pinch brush. So with the pinch brush, you can be super subtle and just kind of run it across here and down here and do that kind of thing. If it was an actual creased edge, you'd have much less control. It'd be pretty solid all the way down here. So I typically use creased edges on the edges of clothing like this, and not so much on top of anatomy like this. So that's kind of, so yeah, creased edge, and then the pinch brush right there. So hope that helps. Let's see, let me go back to chat. My chat goes away. What? Let me clear this. Okay. Stop sharing my screen. There's chat. Okay. So soften edges adjusts the normals of the mesh to make it look smoother. Yeah, it does, for sure. Oh, thanks, Mike. Thanks for dropping by, man. Okay. You end up adding details too fast. Absolutely. Because, I mean, you got to stay out of there for as long as possible. Okay, Stuart, a soft edge when looking at the UV map layout. I'm not clear on what you mean by soft edge. Okay, so here, I'm just going to go into Maya really fast and show you. So you probably don't have Maya, but I just want to show you the difference between the two. Gosh dang, it's been a while. Sorry. Create sphere. Okay, so this is a sphere and it has all soft edges. That just means it looks soft like this. But if you go in here and you grab an edge like this, and you go to mesh display, harden edge, now it looks like that. See that?
Oh, you'll have to share your screen again.
Oh, thank you. Gotta watch my back. Okay. Share my screen.
So you're just selecting all faces and saying smooth normals as opposed to...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So ZBrush doesn't care about this. It just shows your model with all hard edges all the time. And then when you export, like say your model to Maya or a program like it, you will get random hard and soft edges. It's really bizarre, and I wish they would add some kind of functionality to allow you to control it, because it does affect your map baking. And so you'll have to, and I don't know, I'm going to look into it. Let me write down a note really quick. Hard and soft edges in 3D Coat. Because if you can figure that out in 3D Coat and assign them in there, because all you want to do is soften them all. You don't want any hard edges, because yeah, like I said, it will affect your map baking. But this is a hard edge right here. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it on the surface of that sphere? I just select the edge. I selected the edges right here, and I made them have a, whoops. I just made them have a hard edge. and you just do that through this mesh display, harden edge. But like you just said, I can select the entire mesh and just go to mesh display and say soften edge, and it'll soften it all up, and then that hard edge will be gone. So that's all I'm talking about when I talk about soft and hard edges. It's not a creased edge like in ZBrush. It's something old. It came from old school, like old school modeling, doing hard and soft edges. That's how you used to be able to get hard and soft edges when you're doing world building and things like that. So anyway, okay.
Yeah. The FBX export plugin in ZBrush has that S normals option. That says that's what it does.
Oh, thank you for that. I did not know that. Very cool. Okay, have you had a good experience with that FBX exporter? Because I know some people are having problems with it. Like 3D Coat will not even import it. It'll just say nope. I don't. It's like, but I'm teaching this way. It needs to work. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. All right. Well, it's noon. I think I'm gonna wrap this up. If you guys have any specific questions, or if you have any characters you want me to hit specifically, like if you're hitting a wall and you're just like, I don't know what to do with this thing. I've gone this far. What can I do to make it better? Then send me an email, please, to shane.olson@3dcharacterworkshop.com, and we'll do this again next Friday. I think 2 hours is a good amount of time. We'll hit it for another 2 hours next Friday. I might push it into the afternoon, maybe, so more people from different time zones could join. So if I didn't get your question answered here, and or if you just want to let me know if you like this, if you like this format or not, if you like the style, or if you have any comments, like maybe you could do it this way instead of this way, or because this is fresh, I'm just trying it out because I want to get you guys some better feedback and video quality feedback. So I think it's better if I walk you through what I'm thinking in my head when I'm giving you the feedback, rather than you just seeing what I did after the fact. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to figure out how to just get you better faster. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the idea of this thing. So hope you guys, yep. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Yeah, have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us, Scott, and everyone. How many people do we have now? 18. Yeah, it's not too bad. I was concerned because sometimes the Facebook Live videos would go over 100 people. I'm like, this is limited to 100 people. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Yeah, join the Discord channel. So Sean has a Discord channel. You can post that post it again. I don't know. I need to. Maybe I can send out an email to everybody. Sean, remind me. We'll get it out to everybody. So, all right. Thanks, guys. I learned some stuff too, so it's always good. So anyway, have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next Friday. I'll put up another calendar thing and try to figure out how to organize it a little better, so you guys are all prepared next time. Anyway, all right. Well, take care. We'll see you guys. Have a good one.